There we are, my friends, sailing on the high seas of the imagination as the sun is setting, heading towards the horizon there. A vision of inner space. Welcome back, Artist Journal, July 11th, 2023, broadcasting from the ship that's leaving my mind, that's sailing out of my mind onto the screen here. My name is Adrian Pocobelli, having a metaphysical moment here. So, welcome back. You know the artist. I hope you know the artist. It is Rata, the guy that got most of us into this business. It is the great pixel artist Rata, and I was looking at these drawings. There are a few of them, and what I found so interesting and unique about them is at first they look like they're hand drawings, and they probably are. But then I realized, as we were discussing with Ed Marola, these are aliased. In other words, they're not anti-aliased. In other words, as Rata has pointed out several times before, pixel art can be magnified infinitely because it's basically geometric, nearest neighbor in the transform tool on Photoshop. And so that makes it really interesting and unique in terms of a process, because it almost feels like this was hand-drawn, but then put in and like almost turned into pixel art, but not quite. It was probably done, actually, I assume. It's hard to say, but you see the aliasing, which is the moral of the story. So just very cool, and you see the beautiful reflection of the sun on the water. It's an extended introduction today, my friends. It is an extended introduction of our pirate ship here in inner space, and there is our mind's eye here looking on at this great scene here. So there are other works here, and this is an edition of one. Side quests of Captain Dead Rat Pirate, A Ship is Freedom. So, of course, Rata, and it went to Affelbaum, and Rata has been doing the pirate theme, probably, again, that's how I got into buying NFTs. I was kind of interested. I was kind of dipping my toes in the water. And then I saw Rata's work with the classical music, which we've shown on this show. That wonderful. I mean, if there should be an advertisement for NFT art and pixel art, it is that gorgeous work by Rata with the classical music. And I think it's Cosimo de' Medici riding through the fields. It's like a fox hunt. It's beautiful. It influenced a lot of people, Rata's work. So how great is this? A Ship is Freedom. There are other works here too. Weihei and Up She Rises. Side quests of Captain Rata. So this is an edition of 40. So it is possible perhaps to get one. These were transferred also maybe to previous owners of Rata's work. And here is another one early in the morning, so pretty hilarious. Kind of has a bit of a Steamboat Willie, the first Mickey Mouse cartoon feel to it. We can bring that up. If you don't know it, it's kind of a canonical. And so look at this. So I guess it's going out to previous owner 66 and one more. Shave its belly with a rusty razor, and there's the rat. So beautifully done. And again, a vision of this pirate ship in all of our minds here, courtesy of Rata. So there it goes to Human Boy. I don't think I got any of these. How do you get one of these? I own some Rata work, but you probably need to own the right Rata work. So off it goes. Maybe I'll put in an offer. And so it goes. So the great Rata. And so anyways, big shout out to Rata, who inspired so many of us. Joe Rogan's dad. Who else? Rune Tune. Yeah. So a lot of us were really, that's how we really kind of fell in love with this NFT art scene, courtesy of Rata's great pixel art. Tomorrow, I'm quite excited about this. It's an open lines, and just chill on this week's Spaces. It's open lines, so you're the guest. And so, if you're always wondering, if you're always the person sitting in the audience, this is your chance to get up on stage and talk and just share what you're, into. Come hang out and talk about exhibitions that you're visiting. usually in whatever city you're in, or if you're visiting a city or going on vacation, there are going to be some big exhibitions going on. So, or if you're putting on an exhibition, or you're working on a series that you're excited about, this summer, come talk about it. Come hang out. It's open lines, as they say in talk radio, meaning anybody can call and you will have the stage. So come check that out. That is tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. New York time, 3:30 in Berlin. See you there. And big shout out and thank you to all the collectors here as I continue this kind of AI processing of previous works. And there's Rata. Thank you, Rata. Danielle King, really nice. Mick Renders, August Grounder, Nadler, Ahak, DeFi Boston, Akira Dice, and everyone, Explainer Gallery. Thank you for the purchase. And yeah, I'm having a ton of fun here. Remixing old works with Midjourney and then bringing them, processing them, getting these, kind of twilight type colors, for lack of better words. I'm really enjoying that. Really interesting results. So remixing the old work or older work with new tools was really interesting results. Thank you for the purchase. More on the way. Comments on yesterday's show. The artist is editor. I couldn't believe I hadn't called the show that yet. So here it is, Mikey Wilson commenting in. Thanks so much for featuring my work today, Adrian. You nailed the analogy of the newspaper editor when it comes to creating AI work. And this is a profoundly important topic that is ruminating more and more in my mind, which is this is a completely different way of working. Just as Photoshop was a completely different way of working when it was released, let's say 35 years ago, I'm guessing, maybe the mid 80s. Is that 35 years ago? Just like Photoshop was a completely different way of working, AI is a completely different way of working. And I'd even go, it's an order of magnitude different. It's even more different than Photoshop was from drawing and painting. Because with Photoshop, you drew with your mouse. This is using text. It's way more editing than anything. The blues piece have all been made with text prompts, and they are all raw output. So no editing from how I understand this. It's all about leaving some room for AI to work its magic, then a lot of both subtle and strong variations on promising images. Exactly. So I don't know if Mikey is using Midjourney, but I mean, you get 4 results oftentimes in Midjourney. You pick the one you like, and then you iterate through a completely different method. Some take longer than others, exactly. So really fascinating. Really, really fascinating. Thanks for the comment, Mikey. Great to hear from you, and congratulations on just developing your whole practice there. It's really exciting and beautiful. This work here. Also, Mary Migraine, thank you so much for the shout out. I will make some memes about the surreal experience of being on the Pocobelli show soon. Big shout out, Mary Migraine. And thank you, everybody. Primitive Intel, this is Gons. Pleasure to put on the program. PP Universal, Andre Summer Blues, and Rata, Take My Money, looks like Robocop. That's hilarious. And Human Boy, and again, Primitive Intel. Thank you for the comments. We heard from Cap'n too online. So again, I've been missing a lot of comments. I read them, but I haven't been putting them on the show, but some are quite interesting. As we see, we heard from Cap'n on Twitter. Thank you, Pocobelli, for the recent features of the Figments series, a collection I plan to continue developing. I enjoy doing each piece so much. I quite like that. Interesting. You can tell. I mean, he's very prolific. Totally nailed it, man. That pixel being... So that guy right there, the kind of mystical being, that pixel being, I love the title of that. That pixel being, you noticed, has been in the Astral Hazers and Dithering Glitchcraft collections, a simple representation of the human soul or consciousness. This one is a reinterpretation of spiritual successor of Void Drifter. This one is a reinterpretation or quote-unquote spiritual successor of Void Drifter. Appreciate you following my work in such detail, Adrian. My pleasure. And so this is a spiritual successor or reinterpretation of this guy here. Yeah. So it's a very cool trademark, and it's quite imaginative, beautiful image of consciousness, isn't it? A beautiful image, or of the human soul. So just beautiful work here, Cap'n. Just beautiful. This looks like maybe it's from a collaboration with Mujibi or Mubiji. Muji. This looks like it's from a collaboration. Either way, so this is fascinating. Just beautiful. Continuing on, Not a Number. Thanks for featuring my work on the Pixel Network. And this is, so Pocobelli, here is the process. So before I get into the process of Not a Number's beautiful gradients here, if anybody has an opinion here, because I have the Pixel.network, but I have a feeling, so I have that, but I also have P1X3L.network. Maybe that's the better one. I think maybe the second one, I mean, it's a bit more pirate ship-ish, the second one here, if you can see that. So if anybody has an opinion, feel free to leave a comment. I think I like the one with the numbers better, but if people, this one would be easier to say if you're on a radio program discussing your new TV network. You'd just say the Pixel.network. Anyway, continuing on. If anybody has an opinion, please weigh in. And I do want to get that webpage. Ed Marola, by the way, has released another show. So again, I'm getting excited about just this webpage where we just put on 2 feeds. And again, let's see who else shows up. Maybe Andre Summer Blues will start releasing, more streams there. Could be pretty rad, to quote Hasdrubal Waffle. So here is the process from Not a Number. I wrote with the use of an LLM language model, a program in p5.js that gives me a small 1-bit dithered work based on some starting parameters. This one was 27 by 48 pixels. So nice, simple, very low-res work here. I scaled this up by a factor of 10, separated black and white pixels as different layers, and applied a gradient from black to white. So separated black and white is, okay, so then on one layer, I think put a gradient, and then maybe on the other layer, put the opposite gradient. Then I converted this into 1-bit black and white with positional dither and scaled up to 1080 by 1920. I removed the white pixels and did a number of versions, applying a gradient to the different layers. So quite a process, actually. Again, this isn't a one and done type situation here, but I decided to keep it 1-bit. There are only white and black pixels in the finished work, and detail can't be seen without zooming in. And I believe, so this is the finished work that we were looking at yesterday. I actually didn't realize it was all black and white. It does give the sense of grayness, but when you look up close, here it is, all black and white. So it's all just dither on dither on dither all the way down, which is actually super interesting, because that's right. You could put, and I mean, theoretically, to add to the point, you could theoretically dither this and kind of minimize it. You could probably go right back where you started in a weird sort of way. Anyway, very interesting. Thanks for sharing. NAN, not a number. And speaking of Ed's show, check this out. So KF, Wild Missing Numbers, definitely drew some inspiration from Santiago and Ed Marola's masterclasses on YouTube and made this work here. My first one of one on object.com, Pseudopod, started making something for the Object for Object Aubergine festival of sorts, but got sidetracked and wound up with this. So pretty cool that this guy, that KF, is watching Ed on the YouTube, and it's just so cool, and is making work now. That's the thing with pixel art. Again, no drawing ability required in a sense. I'm sure it helps, but that's the cool thing about pixel art, especially if you're in like a 10 by 10 or 8 Badoo. It's not like you need to know how to draw, although it does help, I'd argue. Spiegels Meskinen, look at this physical work here. This weekend we're minting 128 by 128 magnified by 4. 128 by 128 times 4 minutes long music video I made for Christian Roos' upcoming vinyl album. If you're interested in acquiring this one of one, read below. So this is cool. And let me just go. So I never actually saw this before. Look how cool that looks. And the video was premiered in Wire magazine in May. I remember that. We'll be screened for the first time in public this weekend at NFT Show Europe. And yeah, so let's just look at the physical. So I think we saw Spiegelsmaskinen playing with these kind of screens. Remember? He was tweeting out these kind of little lo-fi screens here, or, you know. So pretty cool, and cool music. Sounds like the arpeggiator is going with some really nice classic synths there. Some lush classic synths there. So anyway, very beautiful work there from Spiegelsmaskinen. Cool combo, those two. Kappen. So this, of course, this is with OX Dither, 0x Dither, or just Dither. Take a look at Project CRT on Cyber Gallery, curated by Dither, featuring all the cool TVs made for this collab collection. So we've been looking at a lot of these TVs here that you can see in 3D on Object, and there's the one with Kappen, a really beautiful one, and all sorts of awesome, I think that's maybe mech.txt here. And here are people in the gallery, so that's just cool. How Dither, you know, finished the job by putting it all in a gallery, and I actually quite like the installation. I mean, imagine walking into a gallery and there are these huge retro TVs. So something that's easily done in the virtual world with your Vision Pro glasses on or what have you. Saiko, GMGN, more our international scene here. Good morning, good night, more work in progress. This is inspired by my favorite story, Alice in Wonderland. It will be showcased for public visuals at RK Contemporary. And this looks maybe Japanese or Korean, a gallery that seeks to innovate and represent artists of the next generation. That looks really cool. Even the square root sign there, that is very cool. My DJ name used to be Square Root -1. A confession for the morning here. Made with Midjourney and 101 Adobe, so Touch Designer. So using Touch Designer, minting on Super Rare, and here it looks like maybe this is a window into Touch Designer, and you see here you have it listed here. So again, just more tools to try out, and Touch Designer sounds super promising. Again, it was described on one of our spaces as a tool where it kind of uses programming, but you don't need to know how to program. It was basically how it was described to me. So very cool, and Seiko on the cutting edge of technology as usual. And her friend Rinnyfish needs some stickers, and so check this out. Look at how cool this is. I mean, beautifully designed here. And again, Rinnyfish has gone full time into her art here, so she is making stickers and everything. So here is the NFT, you know, the work that these stickers are based on. And again, going like multimedia. And I'm a huge fan of this. I think if you're making digital art, you should always be thinking of creative ways of rendering it in the physical world, right? And they can become their own artwork with their own integrity and their own commentary. Like I do that with the Screen Memory series, and where I'll take, you know, these digital works and then I'll screen print the color over top of these inkjet, and they become their own commentary. So I think when there's something that kind of gives the work purpose on its own, but as a result of the process, I think it's worthwhile. So this is super cool, and these seem made to order to make them stickers, don't they? I mean, they're beautiful stickers. Where do we order Rinnyfish? Artnet, I mean, I miss this. I mean, ClownVamp was tweeting this out like yesterday, but this is from June 30th. So almost 2 weeks ago, ClownVamp was in Artnet. That's pretty amazing. Can Impressionism's lack of queer representation be fixed with AI? See how one artist uses the tool to offer an alternate art history. ClownVamp presents 23 works at Canvas 3.0. I mean, Artnet's pretty much like right up there with Art News as far as art publications. And there is ClownVamp, who was just on our spaces last week. So I had no idea. So that is really impressive just to see, you know, a digital artist using AI in the NFT scene right there on Artnet. So that is very impressive. Gogolitis and Our Milk with a beautiful collaboration here. Electric Mansion, an awesome title here. And you can see Our Milk did the mansion here. And of course, the trademark gorgeous colors by Gogolitis. And I tell you, Gogolitis secondary has really heated up in the last month or so. It's unsurprising. I mean, Gogolitis really, pixel art is popular to begin with. It'll be easier to sell pixel art to begin with, but then he just totally takes it to the next level where it's like, it's hard to, it's easy to forget that this is just a GIF, right? I mean, this feels like something else. Like, this is alive. This doesn't just feel like a GIF. I mean, so this is your original file that Gogolitis tweeted out. If you're curious, here's the awesome drawing by rmilk88 that I work from. And of course, rmilk, I think he's out of Poland. Really cool pixel artist. And so purple, beautiful work here, and then just added with colors. So always great to see the process here. And continuing on, and actually, before we continue on, this is taking offers. I think it's minimum offer of 30 in this edition of 30. And already you're getting 48 Tezos, 45 Maxim Rykov, who we know who does those super cool animated works, Captain Kimmy. So a lot of enthusiasm for this work here, deservedly. So that could be a nice haul at the end of the day. Tom Bombattle with a really cool variation, almost kind of a different feeling kind of work, Irradiation. And you see these guys with almost like these World War I gas masks, a lantern. Again, there always seems to be a lot of 20th century iconography, even early 20th, like almost like 1940s type iconography in Tom Bombattle's work. I almost feel like a lot of the reference images could be from pulps, perhaps. But look at how beautiful this kind of irradiation beam is. I mean, a really nice animation here as it goes across and kind of bleeds in with the background there. Really, really nicely done. I think also taking offers mentioned on Twitter. There's Ellie Lowe, Gogolitis, Bridget, New York City, Tuna. So one big happy family here. Speaking of Cap'n and Figments, there is a new Figments which just got released, Alpha Parameter. See, this is how we're doing the pixel network here. So I might have to do it this way. I'd be curious if anybody has an opinion on that. Continuing on, so we have the pixel being, as Cap'n beautifully put it, and here a really just interesting, like here it's like RGB, red, green, blue, so the screen colors. Here's like a distant echo of those RGB screens. And this beautiful, again, it feels like a bit of a Pac-Man animation here. It's got that retro video game vibe, these little moving pixels, and there's something incredibly original about it. And here, it's almost hard to say what this is, but it feels like one of those kind of crystal balls with the lightning things that kind of strike out to the edge. Just interesting work, and you gotta love stuff like this. And even just like these strange kind of flashes of what almost feels like random shapes here in the flashing here in a circle. Again, so fascinating work. You can tell Cap'n is having a ton of fun here. Figments now 15 Tezos on secondary. It was 8 Tezos on primary. And another aubergine work for the Object for Object festival, for lack of a better term, Aubergine Memories. So you can tell the artist this is Sabato with quite a beautiful rendition, making it look easy. Quite like the color of the gradient in the background as well. The blue going to the yellow, and a beautiful, again, kind of reminiscent of that. Your rate is over your Twitter rate work, that last one that we saw. The limited Twitter rate by Sabato, almost where it's being dragged across. I think you almost see a similar idea, but the gradient, it's beautiful how it cycles through like three-dimensionally here. It's like it turns it into a volumetric quite beautifully. So again, Sabato is becoming a master of the deluxe paint, and it just goes to show, if you go to the first works of deluxe paint, that's the first drawing exercises by Sabato 60 works ago, you see how simple it was. He's just learning how to use it. Well, after 60 works, you start to get somewhere. You get this nice patterning that masterpiece, reminiscent of that masterpiece by Sabato, Boo. Let me show you that quickly. Maybe it's not easy to find. This is the one I was just, rate your limits. See the dragging? And here, and this really grew on me. I picked up the second here, and then I picked up the first microphyte that really grew on me. Let me see if I can find, actually, you know what I'll do? Very quickly, I don't want to get off track here. The milk and cookies. Love it. Here it is. This like gorgeous, gorgeous masterpiece. Only 39 Tezos. How many are left? Yeah, there's basically 4 left at around 40 Tezos here. Edition of 35. Look at this. Just gorgeous work of Sabato's partner, I believe. And just so charming. On the phone, in bed, the laptop, everything. Just beautiful. Boo in repose. Beautiful. I think it was based on a Manet work, if I'm not mistaken. Stippen Pixel. Aubergine Island. So continuing with the aubergine theme, this time from Stippen Pixel, another great pixel artist here. Beautifully experimental, combining the aubergine with architectural works, and again, working that classic contrast of the dynamic pixels on top, the static pixels underneath, and just creating an instant poetry there. And beautifully dithered here, and beautifully colored, I might add. Interesting coloring. By now, for only 2 Tezos, edition of 100, there are 48 left. And Ed Marola getting in on the action. Obergernsten. That almost sounds like German. Gern is to like, so maybe, maybe there's a relationship there. So there is your aubergine. Kind of a skeletal figure here, and an interesting, it looks like Ed is experimenting with maybe, I'm assuming this is like a 220 pixel canvas, let's say square canvas. Interesting. I almost want to see a gradient in the frame, but there may not be. So here is Ed's aubergine work. And this I don't think is for sale yet. And one has been sent to Pers Beats. And here's another one. You see playing with the same palette here. And again, quite a small canvas size here. Interestingly. So Ed is sort of zooming in a little bit, and quite interesting, just nice dithering. What are you looking for? This is a 1 of 1 for 88 Tezos here. Interesting little, almost looks like a TV graphic here on top of all these interesting figures here. Beautifully shaded. And Notorious Man XTZ, I'm Coming Home. And kind of a nice topic here. Going home kind of reminds me of my home back in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Shout out to Mom. We don't have mountains out there, but you remove the mountains and it starts to get closer here. A beautiful kind of poetic work here. And here's the figure. I guess this is Notorious Man coming home. And maybe somewhere like Colorado. And you see the shimmering leaves in the wind. Beautifully, beautifully done here. It's alive. And again, dynamic and static pixels in contrast. Edition of 12, and they are sold out at $275 each. There's Mikey Wilson on the scene. And Element Lee continues to release these super beautiful pixel artworks, which I have to say, it's sort of like an acquired taste. But the more you consume Element Lee's work, the more excited I am about it. I'm just really excited. I'll show you the one I just picked up. I picked up The Lamp, which was released recently. And here's just this beautiful, very interesting subject matter, I might add. I mean, this looks like, somewhere you'd go, there's a forest and you drive in the empty parking lot and you walk over and go for a hike in the forest in this empty parking lot. Like, pretty original subject matter. Let me just show you the one I just picked up. It was one of those ones I just kept coming back to. This one here, I just kept coming back to this, and I was just like, I just have to get this. There's something very poetic about this work. Again, and signature, Element Lee. Like, you can tell it's Element Lee. I think out of Germany, if I'm not mistaken. And a cool work here, it's a little darker than I remember it, from RJ, Logged In. I'm not sure why it's so dark. Maybe, I thought it was lighter, and you see when I highlight over it. So anyway, a work in progress from RJ, and going along, if you can see that, going along with the previous theme there. I'm not sure what's going on with the light here. Anyway, exciting to see RJ push things further with the pixel art. It's, just super interesting to watch RJ's evolution. The Bad Room, I think this is totally hilarious and beautifully painted here. Who is this? This is 14N6, or let's just call it 114N6, not sure. Edition of 14 for only 3 Tezos, this beautiful homage to Van Gogh. Gloomtube picked one up. There's Lagojo, great collector. Like, how old is he? Like 17? He's 17, or maybe he's 18 now. When we talked to him when I was in April, I believe he was 17. I think he was late for class because he joined us on the Twitter Spaces. Howdy do, John Thurman, who we just saw that great grocery store work. Working Class, Fangers, Yuri J, Mikey Wilson. That's how I found out about this, actually. Mikey Wilson tweeted it out. And again, I just think it's hilarious. I mean, a clear reference to Van Gogh's room, bedroom. And here but it's a modern version, Hello Kitty, Tezos Life, some, like, hilariously, these speculator artists, and I include myself in there, with their charts. I love it. And there's something kind of special about that, just in terms of mindset, because, traditionally the arts are pretty hostile to financial markets. If you go out on the contemporary art scene here in Berlin, people aren't checking their CoinGecko to find out how their portfolio is doing, typically. So it's kind of a fun cultural thing, and I love it. This scene was made to order for me because I love finance, and I always thought I was kind of weird about it, but now it's like we're right at home here, as you can see from the laptop. And so I love this plastic chair here with the broken leg, beautifully done, and then modern sneakers, baseball bat with barbed wire and blood coming off of it. So a bit of, for my grandmother is the series, so a bit of a menacing look. And let's very quickly look at Van Gogh's bedroom, just for contrast here. Yeah, so you see Google Arts and Culture with a beautiful edition here. So you see this very, very, very famous work. I think this is in the Musée d'Orsay. There may be more than one. It says in the Van Gogh Museum, which if you've never been there, you have to go. You simply have to go to the Van Gogh Museum. It is an astonishing place. So here we go. Beautiful work. Wasteman Goldminovich, 2 for the price of 1. And so everything we love here, Ronald McDonald and the Colonel in one fused together here. And then look, you even get like what looks like a chicken, like some fried chicken or something. And then with the burger inside, McKFC. And then you have the McDonald's cigarette. So with a hard shadow here. So pretty hilarious work here from Wasteman Goldminovich. How many are left? Only 5 left at 3 Tezos. You buy one, get one free. Ranextier with another cool still life. Looks like as part of the Aubergine festival there, with that purple shape here, and just another cool abstract work. You gotta like I really like the monochromatic abstract works here, and just interestingly done. Nice little reflection in there too. Still number 4, edition of 8 for 3 Tezos, 6 left, by Ranextier. Lydia Moon, another eggplant area. She looks so adorable. Let's see if we can play this. And there we have it. My favorite part is actually the window on top with help, which I find hilarious. Interesting crop here too. I don't mind this. I don't mind this at all. This kind of hard crop of the window on the right. And then you have this glitch of this illustration. Interesting work from Lydia Moon as ever. And continuing on, Picnic by Katerina Create. Just a cool illustration here of a summer picnic. Beautiful illustration, beautifully colored and everything. And it looks like a lot of fun. Wine and fruit. And let's just see what this is going for. Sold for 10 Tezos only, this 1 of 1. Would have loved to have picked that up. Yeah, you had 40 minutes to get it. Revolution by Byte by Bit. So playing with text, and I thought this was just really cool. I was tempted to end the program with this. I thought it was funny. Then I thought maybe that's a little loud. But anyway, cool work by Byte by Bit. 1 of 1 for 10 Tezos. Just cool work. Could be useful for your digital art show, decades from now, that one. François Gamma, No ROM number 9. So another really interestingly done Nintendo glitch ROM, particularly on the left here. Really just an original take on the glitch ROM. You can tell there's a whole different kind of sensibility with François Gamma of how to approach this. So really interesting. I picked one of these up. Edition of 10 for 3 Tezos. And a work that seems to be from 2009 from François Gamma, Pomon. And here you see what looks like the equivalent of feedback in audio, but done with visual, like visual feedback, basically. Beautifully done here. And this was interesting too. Wonderful is the account, Terraforms 101. A single terraform is called a parcel, zone equal color palette, biome, the combo of ASCII characters, chroma, type of animation. So I'm not exactly sure what this is, but it was visually interesting. Each parcel has an XYZ position in a 3D structure, the hypercastle. The artist made no visual for, the community has made many. So I'm not sure who did this or how it was done, but I thought it was just kind of novel, kind of different looking. I quite like these. These look like chess pieces, like the knight here. And there's just something kind of unusual about all these. So I thought in the spirit of just new visual experiences here, I thought I would show this to us by Wonderful. Quantize_D is the Twitter account. And just these, again, look like ASCII. Just interesting ideas, interesting visual ideas going on here. And it sounds like it's community built. And again, playing with all the possibilities of ASCII text. Rocano with, this is 500, that must be on secondary, edition of 5. I want to be a pirate. So you see the theme of the episode here is piracy. The Monkey Island here on a laptop, what looks like a bigger laptop, and some game cartridges, and just classic, and some big orange headphones, and what looks like a Discman. Let's just see. I assume this is 10 Tezos on primary, raising the price, and it's selling out right away. So very cool. By Rocano Renki with another just cool animated abstract work here, and just kind of very interesting speed here, and just kind of hypnotizing a little bit. And this is 10 Tezos, edition of 10. There is one available. And of course, NativeEd, quad-core AI. So a vision of AI processing, I think. Quad-core AI. And then down we go down the tunnel here on our pirate ship. And off we sail. So just kind of another hypnotic kind of work here. Buy now for 1 Tezos, automatic conversational CPU system. Interesting take on the whole AI and processing and processor. Mika Aladef, a really cool work here. So we saw Mika with Sky Goodman, and I think Mika is a glitch artist. So pretty interesting glitch going on here in this portrait of this person here, and in the background, kind of novel and different. Edition of 10, selling for 20 Tezos on secondary, and sold out at 10 on primary. Cool work there. And of course, LB, ask yourself analog video art using a whole bunch of analog video gear. Where is my mind? Kind of reminiscent. Sounds like LB's listening to the Pixies, maybe, perhaps. Where is my mind? And we see a flower there. Off to AI as we wrap up here. Pretty But Insomnia. And this is by Zoom, edition of 10 for 4 Tezos. So continuing this super interesting series here. There's something kind of surreal about this series, and frankly, this figure. Maybe it's just like the very pale look and interesting color. And I like keeping on with the same themes of the bedroom, the plants, and just different variations, the framed image inside, just interesting. Here's an artist I don't think I've seen before. Nag AI, Home. Home isn't a place, it's a feeling, and we'll look at more at Nag's work, and I just thought it was interesting. More beautiful AI work here, some nice textures here in the bottom. Kind of reminiscent of DALL-E on the bottom and in these textures here. It's got a bit of a DALL-E feel to it. And the more I use AI, and it's starting to be the first tool I open in the morning, the more I start going, oh, if only I could do this, but I have to go to that other. For example, if I wanted to change a part, let's say I want to change the dog to a cat, then I start thinking, oh, maybe I need to use Photoshop Beta and, select this and then replace and this sort of stuff. So then the more you start using AI tools, the more you want to use more than one kind of software, which I think is interesting. And that makes me excited because if as we learned with ClownVamp, he uses everything, right? So, and there's no rules. It's just, whatever you need it for. So all very interesting. So here's some of Nag AI's work, visual artist, and you see, a nice common consistent theme here and all the way through a real consistent look and feel. And selling, 325 on secondary, 490. Looks like there's a pretty strong market here. So all sorts of artists, I think I discovered Nag AI on Twitter. Probably someone retweeted. Maybe it was Mikey Wilson or something. Martin Joe, also with an aubergine work with the Flying Bears, the Night of the Flying Aubergines explained to children. Do you want to know the story? At auction for 10 Tezos, edition of 1. And there is a classic AI work by Martin Joe, who we love to show here, and a bear in an aubergine, sleeping in an aubergine. At auction for 10 Tezos. And of course, the artist here. This is Tukes with another super interesting AI artwork, always pushing the limits here. Sweet dreams, good night. Just interesting work here from Tukes, who has been a joy to follow here. And into physical NFTs, Delcante draws the Braiding Bunch. Buy now for 950 Tezos. I wonder if you got the original, that would be pretty interesting, wouldn't it? I don't see that though, so it's probably just for the NFT. Beautifully, what an artist. Just beautiful drawings here and very poetic. Delcante draws, and there was first sold for 10 Tezos and now on secondary for 950. Interesting. So it'll be interesting to see how the market values physical NFTs. Look at this. Interesting work. Mood Swings. That's a cool work. Available for 4 Tezos. And we remember the Playboy work, Tilda's Willpower. Just a great artist. If you've never seen Delcante Draws. And of course, Demon Ego with a work for edition of 10 for 10 Tezos. A physical work as well, looking from the notebook. And as we remember, these gradients are, I believe, printed out. And then cut out and then pasted and then all sorts of stuff. So just cool work. Really impressive. The notebooks Demon Ego must have. It must be astonishing. You could put on several shows. The problem is that they'd all be in these books. So you'd have 30 works or 10 works in each book, I imagine. Well, no problems here though. Beautiful. I repaired my broken spots with gold and there are 4 left. So selling nicely there. And of course, I've been following this gallery here, as you know, Kristen Hjellergerdi, which I think is Norwegian or something. And here's just another beautiful work here. This is Can Art Ibiza, and I think this is the artist here, Audun Alvestad. Audun Alvestad with a cool classic theme here, the card players, which you can go back to Latour in the 18th century, has some classic. The card players is a great theme. Maybe we can find Latour card players here. Is it the card sharp? Maybe it's this one. Yeah, Georges Latour. Yes, and then you see the tune. This is super famous here. So a classic theme here. Georges Latour, Le Tricheur, the cheater, La de Carreau. Not exactly sure what that is. Oh, has maybe the ace of diamonds, maybe. The cheater has the ace of diamonds. Interesting title. And different versions. You see how different the photo is. Again, that's what my Related Images series is about. The different ways that art history comes down to us, mediated through Google and Wikipedia and the digital world. Finally, Joao Salazar with another really cool plasticine work. This could be older. We may have even showed it before, but I just thought it was so beautiful. We could show it. And this is on Foundation for Point 2, another physical work here. And that is your show, everybody. Thank you for joining me. And come hang out tomorrow and, tell us what exhibitions you might be checking out or that you might be putting on this summer. Until next time, take care.